Hello everyone. Warm welcome to our SAP community call. My name is Lena from the SAP Community and Influencers team, and I'm moderating this call today. I'm joined by our Vice President of Solution Management, SAP S/4HANA, Ulrike Reidel. Ulrike, welcome to our SAP community call.
Hey, Lena, thanks a lot for having me.
We're here today to get updates on the SAP S/4HANA release and maintenance strategy update. End of September, SAP released a new update here, and we want to learn more about it. Ulrike is our expert. She knows everything about it, and she will use the next 45 minutes to get us some more insights. So we'll learn about the extended maintenance updates for customers running releases 1709, 1809, and 1909. And of course, you have the chance to address your questions directly to Ulrike. After her presentation, we have a dedicated Q&A for addressing your questions. As we're streaming live on YouTube, this will be done in our chat. So I hope everyone is logged in, so you can also type your questions. So I will then ask Ulrike your questions, and you have the chance here to ask anything, basically.
Okay, now
it's
I'm
a 60-minute session. Shouldn't have said that. It's a 60-minute session. As you know, it's a recorded session, so the recording will be directly available under the exact same link that we're streaming now. And I would like to hand over to Ulrike now to share her screen and get started with the presentation.
Super. Thank you very much for the introduction. So let me try and do this here. So you should all see my screen now. And let me move to presentation mode. So I hope that works. Lena, maybe please quick confirmation.
I see your screen, yes.
Super. Thank you very much. So again, thanks a lot for dialing in. Thanks a lot for listening to this community session. As Lena has already elaborated, I would like to spend some time today to really talk about what has changed in our release strategy for S/4HANA, what are also the implications of this change in release strategy on our overall maintenance strategy, and what are some of the accompanying factors that you should now potentially consider when you're already on S/4HANA and contemplating your next release change, or when you are now contemplating to go to S/4HANA. But first of all, let me really start again with why is this so relevant, and why did we also make this change to the release strategy at this particular point in time. So if you look towards the overall portfolio strategy from an SAP perspective, you see clearly that we have our three layers that are helping you to achieve this end state, this desired end state of becoming an intelligent and sustainable enterprise. Now, the business applications layer is really at the center of this strategy. So S/4HANA is really a crucial step for every organization that is currently on that journey towards becoming an intelligent and sustainable enterprise. And this is also why we are really listening closely to what you, our customers, are telling us, so that on the one hand side, we make sure that our release strategy is in line with the requirements you have in your specific projects, while at the same time really delivering you the maximum of innovation. Now, I briefly want to spend a little more time on this notion of the journey to the intelligent enterprise in S/4HANA. And here I cannot stress enough the fact that the cloud deployment is really one of the as important aspects that most of our customers are now looking at to accelerate their transition. And here again, if you're thinking about moving towards such a modular cloud portfolio, you have S/4HANA at the center, and you then complement this with our business technology platform, with being able to model your business processes via the Signavio portfolio. You, of course, have complementary solutions on the one hand side from SAP, but also from our partners, and then the very flexible industry cloud portfolio, again, complementing the overall solution. And the very important thing that I want to stress here is really when we talk about S/4HANA Cloud, this is not always referring to our S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition. This is, of course, the North Star, providing you with a ready-to-run ERP system, making it very easy to always stay up to date and to take full advantage of having a standardized ERP system. But at the same time, we are also talking about our S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition. And this is probably the offering that is much more relevant for our installed base customers, because here we have a cloud solution that gives you exactly as much cloud as you need and as much cloud as you want and as you can digest. So we are talking about really a tailored fit solution that is suited to meet your individual requirements and that allows you to really run on your own standard, meaning moving to S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition does not require for you to give up on any of your differentiating processes. You can keep them and thereby secure your competitive advantage. While at the same time, it of course makes sense to still adopt to industry best practices, to look again, what is available directly in standard. But as said, if the differentiating process is a true differentiation, you can just keep it. That is one aspect of really protecting your investment. At the same time, when we are talking about S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition, what we are hearing from many of our customers is this notion of, yeah, but we have so many skills. We have people that are very versed on ABAP, and we want to make sure that all of these investments we made in the solution on the ECC front, but maybe also having brought it already to S/4HANA. So we want to make sure that all of that continues. And the good news is, again, moving to S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition, this is possible, while at the same time, SAP provides additional tools to really help you gradually cleaning up your system while leveraging those skills. And then the last dimension, why this is such an attractive offer, is really the notion of keeping control. So unlike in a public scenario where you have predetermined windows for upgrades, you have predetermined windows when something is happening, here you can really innovate at your own pace, and you can also choose the environment you want to go to. You have a free choice of hyperscaler, and you can then take it directly from there. Now, the following presentation, and just to be very, very clear, is referring to our S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition as well as S/4HANA. So we have, when we talk about S/4HANA and how it is actually delivered in the marketplace, we have three very distinct flavors: Public Edition, Private Edition on the cloud side, and then the S/4HANA, which is also referring to what you are deploying in the on-premise world. So S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition as well as S/4HANA on-premise are the two flavors that are affected by the update I'm going to talk to in a moment. So on October 12th, we did release our S/4HANA 2022. And it is a really cool release. And I was just chatting with Lena about the fact that there was also a community call where my colleagues from product management already gave you some of the updates on all of the innovations that are in the 2022 release. If you haven't looked at that, I really encourage you to check it out, or to also check out some of the blogs and videos that are available here on YouTube, highlighting everything that is available with 2022. Now, while 2022 is a very cool release, we also know that there are some additional renovations in S/4HANA, so coming from the ECC world, that were not yet fully concluded with the 2022 release. So the release where we, from an SAP perspective, presume that we will really have the full completeness and the next level of product maturity is then our 2023 release. So that for us really marks a milestone, and that also really marks for us the right point in time to shift our release strategy in order to even better support your requirements, because from 2023 onward, all the renovations are done, all the must-haves are delivered, and that means from that release onward, we can really focus on delivering innovations to our customers with S/4HANA. This is why we have decided that after 2023, we will shift our release strategy from currently annual releases to a biannual release cycle. Now, but I just said we want to ship more innovations. That is a contradiction. No, it is not. So what we are doing is from 23 onward, we will have a stable release for 2 years. This release will receive innovations via 3 feature pack stacks. And for those of you who were with us back in the ECC world, might remember something that is called feature toggles. So we're going back to that with those feature pack stacks. So from 2023 onward, you have 2 years where you get feature pack stack innovations, and then the next release comes out, and the current release, so the 2023 release, then goes into maintenance, and that maintenance period has also been prolonged to now 5 years, meaning we are going from 5 years of mainstream maintenance that we currently have per S/4HANA release to a total of 7 years of maintenance per SAP S/4HANA release, which I believe is really good news because it makes it even easier to time your updates, to decouple innovation from updates. So overall, this is really a good message. Just a quick recap. When we are talking about releases versus when we are talking about feature packs. So releases always require a heavier lift. So there is always the possibility with a release that you have to adopt certain core elements. You also have to do really thorough testing. There might also be a possibility that there's actually additional training. There might also be significant changes, like for instance, in S/4HANA, we have this simplification list. And in the simplification list, the status of certain apps may actually change so that they are no longer just deprecated, but that they are revoked. At the same time, of course, a release is really massive. So around 600 innovations on average per S/4HANA release, if we are looking back at the last years. Now, if we are looking towards the feature pack as an entity, here we have a completely different set. It's also a technical upgrade, technical update. Sorry, it's a technical update, meaning you usually can get by without a massive downtime. You have the possibility to switch certain of the innovations. So rather than having to, you deploy the feature pack and then you directly also have to change your business processes, you can actually decouple those events and you can then consume the innovation step by step, or you can consume them whenever the business wanted. There are no additional deprecations or revocations happening on a feature pack. And then if you're looking at it from a scope perspective, so it has varied widely historically. where we also had to be rather light on innovations because we were still doing so much renovation on previous S4 releases. But what we historically saw was from 50 to 130 innovations. If I was to make a guess, I would say that number can probably go more up. And it really allows for you to just choose to go for the innovations that you want in this. So, sounds all lovely, doesn't it? But what if you're on 1709 and now need to upgrade because you want to stay on mainstream maintenance? Also here, SAP has an answer, and Lena has already hinted at it a little bit. So as we want to make it as easy for organizations to get to this 2023 release as possible, and as we also don't want anyone having to do a technical upgrade just to stay on the mainstream maintenance, we are now saying, okay, there will be an extended maintenance option for organizations that are on the 1709 release, the 1809, or the 1909 release. And the way this will work is it will be included in our RISE with SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition subscription, as well as any of its predecessors. And there will be a 4 percentage point fee for our on-premise customers for S/4HANA. Now, here is an illustration of what that means, and I think that also will make it a little bit easier for you to see why those 3 releases and why do we have different durations here. So the rationale behind this, so customers on 1709, that release goes out of mainstream maintenance by the end of this year. So if we have this extended maintenance period of 3 years, that brings the customer not only over to the time when the 2023 release will be shipped sometime in Q4 23, but it also gives them plenty of time to then do a project to really move over to this 2023 release. It also gives time to do some heavy lifting if there is some compatibility scope in that customer system that needs to be replaced. So really, even the more complex scenarios have sufficient time to do that transition. And then when we're looking towards 1809, here, obviously, the big advantage is 2023 comes out while that release is still in mainstream maintenance. But again, if there is the necessity to do a more complex project because there is architectural changes, because compatibility scope needs to be replaced and goes hand in hand with any form of business model changes and remodeling of business processes, then this can be done in plenty of time. So the other thing you see here quite nicely illustrated is then on the 2023 release. So we used to have those 5 years. So if we were sticking to the old strategy, that release would go out of mainstream maintenance by end of 28, but we're expanding that period of time by another 2 years. So meaning the 2023 release will then stay in mainstream maintenance until 2030. Now, what are the rules when we are looking at getting to this extended maintenance? So as said before, for our cloud customers, it's pretty straightforward. So S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition tailored option, as well as the predecessors, extended edition, and HEC subscriptions of S/4HANA will automatically be eligible for this. So if you are on one of these subscriptions and you would run out of mainstream maintenance by the end of the year, you don't have to do anything. the extended maintenance is automatically granted to you, and there is also no additional fee applied for that. Now, if you are in an on-premise scenario, what are the options that you are looking at when your release moves towards its end of mainstream maintenance? The most obvious and historically the only one that was really there was to say, okay, you can of course upgrade to a release that is still in mainstream maintenance. Then there's the possibility you can lift and shift over to a RISE with S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition contract. Then the extended maintenance is included. You could also operate your system under customer-specific maintenance, or you have the possibility to then purchase this extended maintenance. And the nice thing about extended maintenance is really that it is also tailored to your requirements. So for 1709, it has been now commercially available since the 1st of November, and you then subscribe to it and you have the possibility to renew it on a quarterly basis, but you can also opt out as soon as your project is concluded and you are again on a release that is on mainstream maintenance. And I think that also gives you the security that you require. Now, talking a little more to what does that actually mean for you? And 4 percentage points sounds so super abstract. So if you are thinking about your landscape, you have your S/4HANA Enterprise Management. So that would be also all of your S/4HANA use licenses, and that would be also the digital access. Then you have additional S/4HANA add-ons like an S/4HANA Extended Warehouse Management, S/4HANA Advanced Available to Promise, you name it. And then you have other landscape elements, of course, as well, that have nothing to do with S/4HANA. So for the calculation of this extended maintenance, the enterprise management is the relevant component. So this is what we are looking at. The add-ons will automatically get an expanded mainstream maintenance. And there is already a note out. I just see here, here it says still upcoming note, but the note is actually already in the appendix for you. I apologize, I didn't catch that before. So there is a note out. There are some exceptions where there is no possibility for an add-on to extend it, but these are really very minor. And then, of course, there is no implication on other landscape elements that are running under their own maintenance schedule. Another thing to make very clear, and I've been talking about this now to many customers. What happens if I have multiple S/4HANA systems in my landscape, and there is one system that's on 1709, and then there might be a system that's on 1909, and one is on 2020. What do I do? Unfortunately, the answer is that we cannot differentiate between different systems. So we cannot say, okay, here's a little bit of enterprise management and they're not. So it will always be based on the contract. So we cannot differentiate any systems. So even if you only have one system still on 1709, we're looking at everything enterprise management that you have in your landscape. And here you also see that elaborated in a little more detail. And maybe also just to recap, of course, existing maintenance contract is required. Then the extended maintenance is a separate contract. You have on a quarterly basis the possibility to revoke, and then it's always calculated based on all the enterprise management that you have in your landscape. And then you see a small calculation example. So if you say, okay, there is a maintenance base of 250,000, thereof 175 are enterprise management, 75 are other components. You have your enterprise support fee, and then the only dimension on which we are looking at those 4 percentage points is then the enterprise management part of your maintenance base. What are the timelines for this? So we announced this in September. So there was an article on news.sap.com. We then started socializing this with the user groups, with our partners. So there was a lot of rollout activity already happening in late September. Then November, we have the extended maintenance now fully commercially available. And then for customers on the 1709 releases, as of January 1st, the extended maintenance is actually starting. So that was, sorry, I was jumping ahead here. So that was really all I wanted to cover. So 2 very valued colleagues of mine are actually planning to do a session for you also this week, in 2 days actually. So I would like to invite you to maybe also learn a little more about the maintenance service order in S4HANA, which I think is something where we have great news for you if we're thinking back to where we're coming. And this is one of the compatibility scope components that I just mentioned, that we are now successively replacing. So I think this is really going to be quite a fascinating session. And with that, I think, Lena, we can certainly open it up for questions.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much, Ulrike, for all the insights and for all the updates. Maybe you unshare your screen real quick so everyone sees the 2 of us.
Yeah, I'm trying. Let me see. I'm not the big Zoom whiz.
There we are. Well done. All right. Opening it up for questions. We have plenty of time now to address questions. There's no questions in the chat yet.
Okay.
It's been all clear to the SAP community audience so far. Maybe we can use the time. It's brilliant that you mentioned the SAP community call that I will also moderate on Thursday with Noburu and Oliver. So please check back with us on Thursday for the upcoming community call there. And maybe Ulrike, until maybe I know when you listen to a presentation and you get a lot of updates and information, and then it's like the presentation is over and then you're like, okay, now it's time for questions. Maybe to give the audience a little bit more lead time, can you summarize like the main 3 key takeaways for them that you think this is really what our SAP community should take home with them?
Yeah, no, and happy to do so. So first of all, I think also S4HANA 2022 is a great release. Make sure to check it out. Secondly, if you are in a situation where you are contemplating doing just a technical upgrade because you need to stay on mainstream maintenance, it is certainly worthwhile to look into the extended maintenance as a possibility for you. Download the material that is, I believe, also already attached to the YouTube channel. So there you also have all of the links and all of the detailed information. So look into that. And thirdly, don't also just clamber now to get to this one particular release, but really choose the release that best fits your long-term strategy. If you're a fast mover and have so far adopted every year, well, don't let up on that. So go to 22, then go to 23, then make full use of the feature pack stack. So there is no reason to change your strategy because of this.
That's an important note. There's one question in the chat that I'm not so sure. When is it? So the update has taken place already.
Yeah. So the update has taken place, and the relevancy comes into play when the mainstream maintenance for a particular release ends. So meaning January 1st, you have an extended maintenance option for 1709. For 1709 only at that point in time, because 1809 has still 1 more year of mainstream maintenance, 1909, 2 more years. So therefore it is a staged approach, because as explained, we are trying to bring customers on all of these releases into a position where they have full 2 years to really adopt the 2023 release.
Perfect. Nagayuna, I hope that answered your question. Maybe a quick thumbs up so we know that this is clarified. Next question here by John. What about 1610 release, 1610 release? Any extended maintenance for it, or have to upgrade to RISE with SAP?
1610, I mean, it's the same with RISE with SAP. So maybe very clearly, so 1610 has been out of mainstream maintenance already since January 1st this year. So we cannot and we will not offer any back maintenance. So if you're on 1610 or on 1511, you first need to get to a release that's still under maintenance for any next steps.
All right. Thank you, Ulrike. John, I hope that answered your question. Nagayuna clarified on her first question here.
Okay.
When is the target for non-HANA system that need to move on to HANA?
Okay, this is then not an S4 system. This is then an ECC system. Okay, but I can still answer that. Okay, so this is now related to the maintenance strategy for ECC. So big disclaimer, we are in the S4 session, but we're going to talk about it. And by the way, you also have the link to the overall release and maintenance strategy brochure. So what is happening in regards to the systems that are on ECC? So what she is referring to is the fact that we will only have the latest 3 enhancement packs under mainstream maintenance for ECC 6.0 starting from 1st of January 2026. So if you're on a lower release, you need to get off of that release by the end of 2025.
Great that you also answer questions related to SAP HANA here in our SAP S4HANA session. Ulrike is the real expert. All right. So far, so good. I shared a lot of links during your presentation, Ulrike. So there is the links to, as you mentioned, Yannick Peterschmitz and Christian Vogler's SAP community call, the blog post to it. Of course, I shared your profile link in the SAP community. Of course, also the topic page of SAP S4HANA in the SAP community, where also the link to the recording will be available. Okay, Nagayuna, it got clarified. Perfect.
Super. Now I'm glad.
That's also always great to know. That's the topic page. The presentation that Ulrike shared is also attached to the YouTube description. And of course, whenever there is questions that are coming up after someone watches this recording here, we have the SAP community that is the main place to address any questions. Simply use our Ask a Question template in the SAP community, tag it with the tag SAP S4HANA, and Ulrike plus team plus experts, everyone who is willing to help out, I'm sure will respond to your question in the SAP community.
Super. Thanks a lot, Lena. then I
Right.
guess
With
we
that,
can close early. Super.
yes,
Thanks, everyone.
exactly. Thank you, Ulrike, for your time. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and hope to see you all on Thursday.
Super. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.